Hello friends, welcome to the lecture series on computer communication networks. So we were discussing the concepts from module 3, that is connecting devices. So this is the second part on the connecting devices topics. Myself, Abhilash KJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, will take you guys through the session. So coming to what we have already covered, so under connecting devices, we had a brief discussion in the previous video. Uh, we started off with the introduction to the connecting devices, why connecting devices are required, and how exactly their implementation will have a greater impact on the operational principle, as well as the layers in which the connecting devices are implemented. So with in continuation with that, we considered the two category of the connecting devices, the hubs which are operational at physical layer, and the link layer switches which are operational at physical layer as well as at the data link layer. So the major difference in terms of functionality is in terms of the filtering capability. Hubs tends to regenerate or retime the input signal, and any weak or corrupt signal is taken as an input and regenerated or the retimed signal to the original bit pattern is outputted at the output port of the hub. Whereas the link layer switches performs regeneration at physical layer, and it performs the filtering at the data link layer by making use of the switching table or the forwarding table decisions. The forwarding table had two different columns. If you could remember, one column had the physical addresses or the MAC addresses of the devices which are connected, and the second column had given the information regarding on which port the individual devices are connected. So in continuation with that, we considered the extended concept of the link layer switches, which are called as the transparent switches. And in that, we considered the prime aim of the transparent switches in terms of the forwarding, the learning, that is dynamic forward table formulation, and we considered the last concept in terms of the spanning tree algorithm to have the loop free topologies in any given situation. So now that we are familiar with the concept, the connecting devices from the physical layer as well as the data link layer, now we look into the next concept, that is next connecting device, which is called as routers. As we have briefed it out, router is a three-layer switch. So we'll not deal much with respect to the looks and corners of the router operation in this particular module, since we will be discussing the network layer exclusively in the coming video lectures. So we'll brief it out how exactly the routers are different from the hubs and the link layers. So router is a three layers device, or which is operable at the physical layer, data link layer, and the network layer. Here, it at the physical layer. So since it is operational at three different layers, as a physical layer device, your router operate as a hub wherein it regenerates the signal whichever it has received. When it is operating at the data link layer, it checks the physical address in terms of either the source or the destination address that is present in the packet. Finally, as a network layer device, it checks the network layer addresses. As we have clearly mentioned in the basics of the computer communication networks, there are four addressing schemes that are present. First one is the data physical address, MAC address, or the link layer address, which is given by the manufacturer to any device that is manufactured with the network inter-network communication capabilities. Secondly, we have logical address or the IP address, which is also referred as a network layer address, then we had port address, and then finally we had application specific address. So here, in order to route any particular packet or the frame that has been received, the source and destination addresses are important. So the physical layer address is, sorry, the link layer address, that is physical address, is functional at the data link layer. That means the data link layer can identify and understand the physical address. So when it comes to network layer, it can understand the logical address or the IP address or the network layer address. So the transport layer is responsible for port addressing, and the application layer is responsible for application specific addressing. So here the router is operating at all the three layers. At the physical layer, it acts as a hub wherein it regenerates the signal whichever it has received. At the link layer address, a link layer device, as a link layer device, it checks the physical address of the source and the destination that is contained in any particular packet that is received. And at the network layer, it will check the network addresses of the source and destination and accordingly take the decision regarding the forwarding and retaining of the information, decapsulation of the information. As we have to understand here, any packet that has been communicated in the network is a combination of the hosts as well as the connecting devices. So the host will understand whatever that is been sent, and that is perceived at the individual states. At the source, encapsulation is done. At the destination, the decapsulation will be done. When it comes to the connecting devices, the connecting devices are operable at only the three layer switches or three levels, that is at the physical layer, data link layer, and finally at the network layer. So they have the capability of looking into the information that is contained in the packet and take the necessary actions accordingly, dependent on whether to forward the packet or whether to decapsulate the packet and give it to the next higher layer, that is the transport layer. So in general, our router is a internetworking device which will connect the independent networks to form an internetwork. As if a user is in one geographical area, he want to communicate to some other user who is in the separate or the different geographical area altogether. If they want to communicate among themselves, then I want an device which will facilitate that. If the communication is within the network, my link layer addressing is enough. But if the communication is beyond the network, then I need a device which operates at the network layer. That is why the router is one such solution which will enable the communication between two different independent networks. So thus it is internetwork. So coming to router, as I have already mentioned, will not go in depth regarding the router functionalities. Now we shall just compare the functionalities of the router with respect to the repeaters or the switches which we have already considered. So there are three major differences which we will be looking at. So first difference is in terms of the addresses. A router has a physical address as well as a logical address for each of its interfaces. So the term interface here is nothing but the point at which a device is connected to it. That is sometimes also referred as a port. So in a router, every individual interface will have a separate physical address as well as a separate logical address or the IP address, which was not present in the repeaters or in a switch. So repeater used to have the physical address, but it never had the logical address. And in the switch also, it is not that every individual port had different the physical address. But in router, every individual interface is a point at which the host is connected to the router. So each individual interface will be having its own physical address, that is MAC address, or the logical address or the IP address. So the second difference is in terms of the processing of the information in the routers. So the router performs any operations only on those particular packets in which the link layer destination address is matched with the address of the interface at which the packet is received. So when we consider the concept of hub, there was no filtering involved. So there is no physical address involved. So whatever that is been received on one port, it is broadcasted on all the other ports. But when we consider the link layer switching, dependent on the source destination address, the forwarding is limited or it is filtered to that particular specific interface only. Similarly, so the router performs the one next step further in terms of the operation. So only if the packet that is received, its uh, MAC address matches with the interface address of the router, only then the network layer will perform the further processing. That means the processing is from the physical layer to the network layer. So once the information that is received at the physical layer, the regeneration happens. Once the regeneration is complete, then the MAC layer of the router check for the destination MAC address that is contained in the packet, and it will match it against the interface address of its own the data link layer. If the both addresses are matching, only then the processing will be done at the network layer. If the address is not matching, then the processing will not be performed. So thus it performs filtering both at the data link level as well as at the network level. Next one is, this is the prime difference between a link layer switch and a router. So a router can change the destination as well as the source address of the source link layer addresses whenever it is forwarding the packet. So when we considered the link layer switches are functional only within the network. Thus, it is not required for an link layer switch to change the source or the destination physical addresses. But when we are considering inter-network communication, on that note, the packet has to go from one switch to the router, from the router to another switch, then it has to reach the host. That means in between there are multiple hops that are involved, and every individual hop, the source physical address is different and destination physical address is different. So thus the routers are designed in such a way wherein it is capable of changing the source as well as the destination link layer addresses whenever it is forwarding the packet. So let us consider an example that will illustrate the router functionalities. Here I have considered a local area network. So two different local area networks are connected by making use of a switch here, and I have a server that is connected to that particular switch, and this entire network, which I have considered here the example of gigabit local area networks, and two gigabit networks, local area networks are combined together to give an overall picture of 10 gigabit local area network. If you can clearly, if you can observe in this particular case and relate it to the real-time example, so this is the local area network in one building, and this is the local area network in other building, and these two will combine to form one organizational local area network. So that is 10 gigabit Ethernet. So in this case, if any one of the host here want to communicate to somebody else who is not there in this particular network, then I have to make use of a router structure. So the router will connect this network into some other network, that is rest of the network. That is why the router is referred as a network layer switch. It performs the switching at network layer. So any operation that is been happening inside the local area LAN, if this user want to communicate to this user, it is not required to have the network address of this. Only the physical address is enough. On that note, this will send the information to the link layer switch here. It will examine the source and destination link layer addresses, and accordingly it will match it with the destination port number, and it will easily send the packet or forward the frame inside the network. In case if these two networks are communicating, then this will filter the information accordingly with respect to the source and destination number. But in case if this host is communicating to the rest of the network, on that note, here from this particular LAN, the information has to reach to this LAN, this link layer switch. From this link layer switch, it has to reach this router. From this router, it has to reach somebody else. Thus, the packet will initially have the link layer in the frame. The destination address will be of the router. The first destination will be the router. Once the router receives the frame, it will change the source and destination physical addresses, and it will replace the source physical address with its own address, and it will send the information regarding, it will replace the destination address with the next interface it has to pass in order to reach the destination. In this way, the routing will be implemented. So the next concept which we'll be considering is the advanced version of the local area network. So if we consider an practical scenario wherein a station which is connected to a local area network, which is connected in a local area network, means physically the host is part of that local area network. The term physically is used because there is a wired connection or a wireless connection that is clearly specific to that particular geographical area in which the local area network is active. I cannot say that if a user is connected to Wi-Fi in one district belong to local area network of some other district. So that means the physical presence of the station in any local area network makes it the physically belonging to that particular local area network. So now the belongingness of any station to a particular local area network is dependent on its geographical presence. So in which area it is connected, dependent on that particular area specification, that particular local area network, a host is said to be connected. So sometimes, even though it looks very simpler, in practical scenario, it is not feasible to have the multiple physical connections for multiple networks. So the concept of the virtuality comes into picture here. What if we have a virtual connection between the two stations which are connected to two different physical LANs? So it could be related to a real-time scenario wherein I have two different campuses of an organization. A guy in first campus want to communicate to guy in second campus. So both are in two different geographical areas. Thus they are belonging to two different local area networks. If there could be some virtual connection between these two local area networks, then these are said to be in a single virtual connection. So thus the virtual local area network is a special case of local area network which is configured by the software, not by the physical wiring. If upon the discussions which we had till now, a physical wiring means the station is physically connected. If I want to have a logical connection, then it has to be done by some sort of a program or some sort of a software. So the solution for virtual connections is in terms of virtual local area networks, which is configured by the software, not by the physical wiring. So let us consider an example to illustrate this. So I have considered a situation wherein there are three different networks. So this is one organization in which I have considered a total of 9 systems which are grouped into the first group of 3, second group of 2 and the last group of 4. So here, if you can elaborate on this, this is pretty much similar to different projects that are running in an organization. So the first team here comprising of 3 hosts, that is 3 engineers are working on one project. And in the second group, there are two engineers who are working on a different project. And finally, in the last group, there are 4 engineers which are working on a project. Thus, inside an organization, they are connected, physically connected by making use of a switch. So there comes an example, there comes a situation wherein let us say that the last group, which comprises of 4 engineers, there is a requirement of more number of engineers. And the first team, which currently does not have any new projects with them. On that note, if these 3 can help with the implementation, if these 3 systems can make a transition from the first group to the second group, on that note, they can be of a greater use for the next team, that is the last team, to implement the project in a faster duration. So when I use the term, these 3 engineers want to help the third project group in order to improvise this, in order to speed up the project. In terms of physical implementation, this entire topology has to be changed. That means I need to remove this particular switch, then move this particular 3 engineers physically into this group and create 3 new connections here, and the system administrator has to do this manually, which is not the ideal solution which we speak of. So after a particular duration, once the project is over, once again, all these 3 has to come back to their original project team. That is, they came to the third project team in order to speed up this particular project. Once the project is over, these 3 will move from project group 3 to the first project group. On that note, once again, the entire topology has to be changed. Thus, changing a physical topology every individual time is a tedious job for a network administrator as well as for the users. So the solution is proposed in terms of the logical configuration which overlays the existing physical topologies. So on that note, here the existing switched LAN is now divided into the virtual LANs. So the virtual LAN is nothing but is a process of dividing the local area networks into the logical instead of the physical segments. Here, a LAN could be divided into the multiple logical local area networks, which is referred as, which is also called as virtual local area networks. Each individual virtual local area network is a group or a project work group in an organization. If a person want to move from one group to another group, it is not required for to make the physical wiring. Just that the software has to update its presence dependent on the group membership. So here we could clearly see that I have divided this entire local area network into 3 groups, that is VLAN 1, VLAN 2 and VLAN 3. So here each of the virtual local area networks have the individual set of users who are member of this particular virtual area network. When this virtual area network member want to make a transition from one group to another group, it is now not required to remove the physical connection or rewire the entire thing, but the virtual local area network, which has a software, will update its presence dependent on the inputs that is given by the system admin or the automatic way itself. So the group membership here is one criteria which we have to discuss, which we'll discuss in detail. So the virtual group membership is identified by the software, not by the hardware. That means the stations are identified by not just by the physical address, by the software identities that is being given by the VLAN software. Here, any individual stations that are present can be moved from one local area network to the another local area network. So the key feature related to virtual local area network is that the members of one local area network will receive the broadcast message from other networks. That means, for example, here one of the user who is present in virtual local area network 2 here will send the information to virtual local area network 1, that is VLAN 1. So when VLAN 2 sends the information to the switch, that information is broadcasted to the all the members that are present in the VLAN 1. So it is not very specific with respect to one-to-one, it is one-to-many here. That means from one virtual LAN to another virtual LANs. Those who are member of one virtual LAN will receive all the broadcast message that is intended for that individual virtual local area network. So thus, if a station moves from one virtual local area network to another virtual local area network, it receives the message, the broadcast messages sent to the particular virtual local area network to which it has made a movement. For example, if this station is present in VLAN, it will receive the broadcast message that were intended for VLAN 1. In case this station make a movement from VLAN 1 to VLAN 3, now it will receive the broadcast message of the VLAN 3, but it will stop receiving the broadcast message from VLAN 1 as it has moved from VLAN 1 to VLAN 3. So in this case, this particular solution will solve the problem which we have faced in the earlier case, that is in terms of how exactly the forwarding decisions are taken, and at the same time how exactly we had loop problems in the switches earlier. Thus, in this particular scenario, moving engineers from one group to another through the software is pretty much simpler than the configuration of the physical network. So the last example I quoted, if this particular project group need to help this VLAN 1, the engineers in the first group want to help the engineers in the third group. In the physical topology, the entire wiring was required to be changed, but when we use this in the software, just that this group membership has to change. For this station, the group membership has to be changed from VLAN 1 to VLAN 3. So in terms of physical and logical organization, the logical organization here makes it the things pretty much simpler. And at the same time, the VLAN also supports the VLANs also supports the grouping of the stations that are connected to the different switches. I can have this topology wherein I have two different organizations that are working on a similar set of projects here. So this is one campus which is working on it, and other case I have different campus that is working on it. At the same time, I have these two engineers belonging to first project are connected to switch A, that they are in the different campus, and in second campus I have one engineer who is working on the same project. Thus they can be there in a single local area network. This is defined by the software in terms of VLAN 1. Similarly with respect to the other cases also. So this is see, in this particular situation I have two different switches and we have three local area networks, and we have a backbone switch here which is implemented on a VLAN software. So this is pretty much good configuration in which company has two different separate buildings. So each building, to have the same local area network physical wiring, it becomes much complex and much tedious and costlier process. But having one switch to virtual local area network connected by a backbone network, the people in the first building now can be grouped into can have a group members from people from the second building, and they can work on the same work group even though they are in the two different physical lands. So of these two considerations, or these two diagrams we have considered, so we clearly mentioned the VLAN defines a broadcast domain. So VLAN belonging to one group will receive, or one or more physical groups will be operating in the broadcast domain. That is, any message that comes into VLAN is broadcasted to the all the members that are present, that are part of that particular virtual local area network. So we discussed the characteristics of the virtual LANs in detail now. The first characteristics we will be dealing with is in terms of the membership. So what defines the membership, on what basis, on what parameters the membership is given for an individual host in a virtual local area network? So it is implemented in terms of interface numbers, MAC addresses, IP addresses, multicast IP addresses, and combinations. So we'll look into each of these in detail. So the first category, the membership could be identified in terms of the interface numbers. That is, VLAN software may make use of the interface numbers as the membership criteria. For example, an administrator can clearly mention the stations which are connected to the ports 1, 2, 3 and any other number 6 or 7 belong to VLAN 1. So they'll create a software mapping wherein this particular interfaces, these numbers of interfaces are connected to the VLAN 1. So dependent on that criteria also, the grouping could be done or the membership could be given. The second category of membership is given, that could be identified in terms of the MAC addresses. So the software may make use of, the vendors may make use of 48-bit MAC address as a membership criterion. So he can say that, for example, the MAC addresses of the station could be taken as a reference. Around 3 to 4 MAC addresses clearly specified belongs to VLAN 1, and 3 to 4 other MAC addresses belongs to VLAN 2. So dependent on using the MAC addresses as a criteria, also the membership could be given. Third is in terms of IP address. Instead of MAC address, if we take into consideration 32-bit IP address as a membership criteria, once again the membership could be given in terms of IP addresses. And the fourth category is in terms of the multicast IP addresses. And so we'll discuss what exactly is multicast IP addresses in coming videos. So once again, the multicast IP addresses could be used as a criteria to give the membership. So multicasting at IP layer is now translated into the multicasting at the data link layer. And finally, the combinations. So since all these memberships are given by a software, or VLAN is implemented in software, so it gives an freedom to take into consideration the best features out of this and create a new membership schemes dependent on all these characteristics combined. Or the administrator may make use of one or more of these criteria or the combinations of this while installing the VLAN software. Thus, it can be, once again, since it is a software, it could be reconfigured any number of times to have the best results. So next we'll consider the second characteristic in terms of the configurations. How exactly the stations are grouped in a different virtual local area networks. So the implementation could be done in three cases. or three ways. The configuration is done in three ways. First one is the manual configuration. So in the manual configuration, the network administrator plays a major role here because he uses the VLAN software to manually identify the members, identify the group in order to form a virtual local area network. So every individual time, at the setup time, the individual stations are connected into individual stations are grouped into different virtual local area networks by the system admin itself. Whenever a station makes a migration from one virtual LAN to another virtual LAN, the details are entered, the membership details are entered manually by the system admin. Once again, we have to be very clear. The migration term is in terms of logical way, not in the physical way. We are not changing the physical wiring. We are just changing the virtual LAN membership of that station from one virtual LAN to the another virtual LAN. And the second way of the configuration is in terms of the automatic configuration. So in this case, the stations will automatically get connected or get disconnected from a virtual LAN by making use of the criteria that is identified by the administrator. For example, an administrator may create a criteria in terms of the project number for a member of any particular group. So whenever a user changes a project, all he or she has to do is he gets migrated from one project to another. So the earliest example I considered, project 1 is the one configuration, project 3 is another configuration or different virtual LAN. If user has to move from one project group to another project group, all he need to just do is change his project number, which is configured automatically at the software part, which is done by the network administrator. And the third scenario is the semi-automatic configuration. So which is a trade-off between both automatic as well as the manual configuration. So here the initialization is manually, and so in the semi-automatic configuration, the initialization is done manually, and all those migrations which are happening after the setup are done in the automatic way. And the third characteristic we'll be looking into is how exactly the communication is implemented. So when we consider the concept of multi-switched backbone, each individual switch has to know not only where exactly which station is belonging to which VLAN, at the same time it has to know the membership of all the stations that are connected to the other switches. For example, when we consider the example of the last example wherein we considered the backbone switch, the switch A there has to know the membership status of all the other stations which are part of switch B. On that note, the three methods are made use in order to enable or establish the communication between the different switches. The first method is in terms of table maintenance. So in this particular case, or in this particular method, a station sends a broadcast frame to its group members, and the switch creates an entry in the table and record them as a station membership. So whenever new station is added to VLAN after the setup, it will broadcast its frame to all the group members of the VLAN, that particular VLAN. And at the same time, this communication has to happen through the switch. Thus, switch will note the station membership there and there itself. Once all the stations have communicated their membership details to the switch, then the switches are exchanged by themselves in terms of tables for periodical updating. The second method is the frame tagging method. So frame tagging is nothing but the frame has to travel across the different switches. Since it is traveling across the switches, in order to identify a particular station and a particular virtual LAN, an extra header is added which will define the destination VLAN. So it becomes easier for a switch now to specifically forward or selectively forward the frame or the packet to the intended destination VLAN itself. So at the same time, the frame tag is used by the receiving switches, which will determine which VLAN has to be receiving that particular the broadcast message. And the third technique is the time division multiplexing. So in order to implement the communication between the switches, the connection or the trunk is divided into time shared channels, that is TDM, time division multiplexing. For example, if I have in a backbone network there are 5 VLANs are present. In that particular case, the connection is the trunk is divided into 5 channels. For example, VLAN 1 has channel 1, VLAN 2 has channel 2. So any traffic that is intended for VLAN 1 is traveling in the channel 1, that is in the 1 time slot duration. And the traffic destined for VLAN 2 will be traveling in the channel 2. And the receiving switch will determine in this case which destination VLAN has to carry the information dependent on the channel from which the frame has been arrived. So we'll consider the advantages of virtual LAN. First and foremost, there are several advantages of VLAN. The first and foremost is in terms of cost reduction. Since while we started the concept of virtual LAN itself, if an engineer has to migrate from one project to another project, if the physical migration is implemented, then it involves much of the money or the finance that is involved. Entire wiring has to be changed. At the same time, if there are no existing wiring that is present in the new work group, the new wiring has to be implemented. Thus, if the physical migration is preferred, then it will cost much than whatever that is existing already. But if we have opted for VLAN, it will reduce the migration cost of any particular station that is migrating from one group to the another group. As at the same time, the physical reconfiguration will take much time. At the same time, it is costly. So thus it is an ideal option to logically move one station from one segment to another segment or even to another switch in the quicker way, as at the same time in the cost effective way. And the second advantage is in terms of the time reduction. Since all the system administrator has to do is, or all the any particular station which is making a migration, all they need to do is just either manually configure with respect to with the respective system admin, or automatically perform the configuration in terms of different project numbers. So it considerably reduces the time required to make a migration from one project group to another project group when it is implemented in the physical way. Third application is in terms of the creation of the virtual work groups. For example, in a campus, we are having an interdisciplinary project that is been working out, which involves the contribution from different students from computer science department, from electronics department and from the mechanical department and few from the civil department. So when this is implemented, if all these are working independently, then the project will not complete. Every individual time a student from one department has to get into another department to know what is the status of the project. Instead of this, if the virtual LAN could be implemented here, one member of one project group, that is one department, can broadcast his progress or his requirement to all the other VLANs or to a specific VLAN. For example, EC guy want to communicate only to the mechanical guy, then he can broadcast the entire information into that particular VLAN. At the same time, the other operations could also be done. At the same, this will reduce uh, traffic in the multicasting implementations, at the same time which will improvise the productivity in terms of a group by creating the virtual work groups. And third is the last one is in terms of security. So virtual local area networks provides extensive measure which takes extensive measures for security. So the people belonging to the same group can only send the broadcast message with a guarantee that users in the other will not receive any of this particular message. That means if the communication is happening in one virtual local area network group, that information exchange is confined to that group itself. Any other who are not intended to be part of this group will not receive any message because they are not members of this particular virtual area networks. So those are the advantages of having virtual local area networks. So that completes the concept of connecting devices. So under connecting devices, uh, we have considered the concepts in two different broad videos. In the first video, we had considered the concept of hubs and link layer switches. Then we considered the concept of routers and the virtual LANs in this particular video. We defined in terms of operational principle, we consider the comparison of the operational principle of routers with the link layer switches as well as the hubs. And then we considered a special case of local area networks, which is called as a virtual local area network. How exactly the implementation is done, how it is different from the physical local area network in terms of the new definition of logical connections. At the same time, how exactly it could be monitored in a software uh, that is considered in virtual local area network. And at the last part, we considered the advantages of virtual local area network in terms of the cost reduction, time reduction, and the creation of virtual work groups. At the same time, the security that has been offered at the uh, virtual local area networks. So that completes the topics on the connecting devices. Thank you so much for watching.